was concerned with the way this current Congress and current administration is trying to remake America into something it wasn't intended to be. I got involved because I was concerned for the lack of respect for the principles of limited government, economic freedom, individual liberty, and most of all, our Constitution. The very foundational principles that made this country the greatest country the world has ever known. And the 2010 election is a defining moment in our country's history. I'm a big believer of that, as I know so many of you are as well. Because this is the election that's going to determine who we're going to be as a country going forward. And it's time for the 3rd District in Kansas to do their part and to send a conservative, principled, strong representative to Washington who will fight the fight there and not go along to get along. And anyone that knows me from the State House knows that I was not that type ever. I always was conservative. I always was Republican. There was always an independent streak of me that would not go along to get along. We need to send someone who will be fiscally responsible. I support a balanced budget amendment, zero-based budgeting. We need to send someone who believes in limited government and getting back to the enumerated and defined principles that are outlined in our Constitution. We need to send somebody who will respect the 10th Amendment and know that those powers that are outlined in the Constitution are strictly there, and that anything else should be left under the 10th Amendment to the states and its people. We need to send someone who believes in economic freedom, that when government gets out of the way and isn't strangling our businesses and our families too with their government regulation, that then the economy can thrive, business can grow, the country will prosper. I believe the 3 most important issues right now are the economy, healthcare, and national security. And as to the economy, I am a Ronald Reagan fan, and I believe that tax cuts are the way to go. We need to cut the marginal tax rates across the board. We need to cut capital gains tax to 0, as the Chinese have done to stimulate the economy. Put more money back in the hands of families, individuals, businesses. We need to cut the corporate tax rate to 12.5%. Why? So our companies can compete globally, and companies that are multinational based won't be sending jobs out of America to other countries where they will be better treated. We need to get back to talking about healthcare. I have signed the Defund It Pledge at defundit.org. I've also signed the Repeal Obamacare, which is at Club for Growth, and I am for replacing Obamacare, the whole thing, not just portions of it, but the whole healthcare bill, and replace it with free. All right. Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate your vote on August 3rd.
Thank you, Patricia. Next is Kevin Yoder.
Thank you for coming today to put together this forum. I want to thank Ronnie Metzger for putting this together. The attitude of the Republican Party this year has been a rising tide that will rise all ships, and I think we're all excited for the fall, for the armada of Republican candidates working to get Republicans elected all across the board, all across the state, for statewide office, federal office, and local office. And I'm excited to be part of this party and part of our effort to win this election this fall. You know, I have been a state representative in this area for the last 8 years, representing Overland Park and Leawood. And it's been an amazing experience to have the opportunity to represent so many people here as we fight the very issues that we're wanting to fight in Washington in Topeka. These last couple of years were very special to me because I joined with Vice Chairman and Majority Leader Ray Merrick as we chaired and vice chaired the House Appropriations Committee and dealt with an incredible struggle, which is what do you do when the economy tanks and your government's spending too much money? And we stood up against the forces of greater spending, against unions, against those special interest groups that want Kansas budget to continue to grow. And we stood up for less spending. We stood up for the principles of less government and reduction in spending, and that allowed us to reduce the size and scope of the state government. We've cut hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars from the state government. In fact, as appropriations chairman, I cut more spending than any other appropriations chairman in state history. And I want to thank all the legislators who were here with me over the last couple of years, because it was a tough fight. And I've been in that arena. I know how tough it is to fight those interests that want us to keep spending money. It's very challenging. It takes leaders who are principled, who can stand up and know the difference between what is correct policy and what is the type of policy that sounds good but will ultimately bankrupt this country. We're facing a $13 trillion debt in this country right now, a deficit in which we're spending of every dollar we spend, 43 cents is borrowed. This is the type of spending that is going to bankrupt us currently as Social Security and Medicare crisis continues to grow. And it's the kind of spending that's going to leave a legacy for our children and grandchildren that will be embarrassed. You know, I grew up on a small farm in rural Kansas, and in that experience I learned some very simple principles, that it's hard work and determination that built this country, that it's the sweat off your brow mentality, that if you get up and work harder each day, you can provide for your family, you can provide for your country. We didn't expect government to come in and bail us out when we were in trouble. We didn't expect